Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to Grace Community Church at 424 North Lovers Lane. It's the last time I'll be saying that, so I had to say it one more time. I can tell that this service had perhaps some cake concha, because our energy level is definitely sugared and caffeined up. It's gonna be a fun morning. I'm so glad you're here. This is a special morning, and we had a wonderful first hour of celebration, of remembering, reflecting. It was super inspiring, so I know that this service will be just as inspiring. And it is our concert of prayer and of praise. And as John had mentioned in our letters from home, you are the instruments. You are what is gonna make this concert a beautiful thing. So we are looking forward to hearing from you. Before we do that, though, I want to share a few announcements. In fact, quite a few details, so try to soak it all in. I hope many of you have been watching the letters from home. If you have not, I would encourage you to start doing that. Thursday mornings, we put out a recording on our Grace Community website, and it's just a little blurb from all of the pastors and the staff giving you information and details about what is happening in ministry, what's happening with the new building, what's happening at Divisadero. So if you have not yet checked that out, do it. It's really helpful, really informative. Also, we have emails that can be sent to you with information. So if you have not yet gotten on the email list, I would recommend that. And we have text messaging, which I know for some of you, that's just awesome because it's right in front of your face. It gives you the chirp. You see it, and you can know information. You can also get important prayer requests. I love, not love when there's a crisis, but I love when I can get something right that second and pray immediately about that need. So all of those options are out there for you to get information. And I think now, especially now, you need to be in the loop because we know how it is. Things change a lot. We are trying our very best to keep you informed of everything that's ahead. So next Sunday, we will be meeting at our new temporary location, the Divisadero School, at 9 and 10:30. So make sure you write that down. If you want to come early at 8:30, that's great, but you'll be a half an hour early now. So 9 and 10:30, we will have coffee and donuts, and there's a great courtyard there right in the middle, so we'll have that before and after the service. So we're really hoping for fellowship time. We need to stay connected, so that's really vital. Children's ministry and children's programming will continue in the first hour. The little bit of a difference is that our children will join us for worship time, and then they will go to their classroom that first hour. Now, I know some of you have asked, when are we gonna do the second service? That is totally in the plan. Brittany is definitely planning first and second service for children's again. So that will be coming soon, and we will keep you in the loop, and then things will get back to much more of a norm for our children's programming. The youth group will continue to meet the first hour. They will have separate rooms there at the facility. So we are just really praising the Lord for fitting all of these pieces together for us and allowing Divisadero to be our spot because they have committed that whole time to us as long as we need. So that's a real praise. We'll get into our groove really soon. We'll get in our new routine. So that's exciting. And just to remind you also, BYOC, bring your own chair. Okay? Bring your own chair. And we have had, we know that for some of you, that is not a possibility. So we will have some chairs available to you for those that accessibility is not gonna happen, okay? So just so you know, we will have some chairs available for those that aren't able to bring chairs. And I think that covers it all for now. And again, we will keep you in the loop, but this morning is gonna be a wonderful morning to celebrate. Let's kick it off with prayer. Father, thank you so very much for the beautiful faces in this building. Thank you that it's these people that make Grace Community Church. It's not these walls. But even saying that, Lord, these walls have brought many, many wonderful memories, Lord. We've celebrated life in this place. We've celebrated death. We've watched many, many baptisms. marriages, child dedications. The list goes on and on, Lord, the memories that are in this place. And so today I pray that you would just help us to reflect, to remember, to embrace all of these sweet, sweet memories that we have, considering them as gifts from you. We thank you for being in every part of this place. We thank you for allowing us to be Grace Community Church. And I just pray for what's ahead, Lord, that even as we move forward from here, we would become bigger, better, and stronger for you, Lord, to be better witnesses for you, to continue to invite people into this place to grow in you. Lord, I would just ask that this change may spur on change within our own heart to grow in you, to be okay with the uncomfortable and to grow through it. Lord, there's a lot of unknowns, and we admit that we can be fearful of that. It's hard to lose what we feel is secure and comfortable and regular and normal. And so when we enter the unknown, I just pray, Lord, that you would surround us and continue to be our strong leader that we count on. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for blessing our valley with rain and with snow. And we would just ask for more, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to give to you through our tithes. Thank you so much, Lord, for the blessing of that and how you've just blessed ministry through that. Lord, I would ask that you would just use this time to minister to our hearts, but also, Lord, that you would be blessed through our praise. We just would want to honor you in everything that we do and say today. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Let's stand and sing of the Lord's faithfulness this morning.
Just a word about texting and emails. If you aren't signed up for that, as Christine was sharing, that's easy to do. And if that gives you difficulties, just call the church office and say, tell me how to do and get that information that Pastor John gets, because that's how I stay in touch. I don't learn anything if I don't learn it through the email or the text messages. So you can be in the know just like me, and then you'll get links so you'll be able to listen to the letter from home and so forth. I'm being a little facetious there. I know some of you wouldn't catch that, but this morning I want to remind us that we are heirs. We are heirs of the people who have gone before us. I've been at the Grace Community longer than I've been at any other church. That's kind of amazing to me. I don't think that's true for Shelley, but we've been involved in church most of our lives, but it is this church that we've been involved in the most. And I've been thinking about the fact that these things don't just It's not like they're not there until I come on the scene. No, they are there. They were built. People gave. People invested. The lives that were knit together, that were joined together. That joining and knitting doesn't happen by accident. It happens by investment, by commitment, because people pass on what God has given them to other people. And we here today, I want to remind us, we are heirs of what has been invested by faith, by good people, some in this room, but some before us. And this is the most significant thing. The next steps we take in the coming weeks and months, we're crossing over to something that will be a legacy to our heirs. What we're building is not just for us. What we're doing is not just for us. It is for others. I've found in my life that God does things that I'm unaware of. I'd like to know everything God is doing with all that I try to commit to him in my life. When I live by faith, I'm living for the Lord, and you are too. And when you're living for the Lord, what I'm trying to say is you can't always comprehend or even compute all that God will do through your life. But what we are doing together in that same vein is for people that we may not know, but they will be our heirs, even as we have been and are the heirs of others. This week, as I knew I was going to talk to you for a minute or two, and I wanted to build a lot of what we do and what I say on the Psalms. And so I was looking at the Psalms, and I ran a quick search on the English word come. C-O-M-E, not came, coming, that would have increased the number. But just on the word come, in the book of Psalms, over 500 times. Come and hear, says Psalm 66, verse 16. Come and hear, all you who fear God, and I will tell what he has done for my soul. That's what we're doing this morning. We're giving you a chance to tell what the Lord has done for your soul. Psalm 95, 1 and 2. Let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise. What we share, it may not have a melody outside of the rhythm that we catch from how much God has done in your heart. And that's the sweetest melody of all. Bring an offering and come into his courts. What you share is an offering of praise, an offering of thanksgiving. And if you know anything about the prophets, part of their message was, God doesn't want your bloody sacrifices. He wants the praise and thanksgiving of your heart. In other words, he wants it to come from your soul. So I hope you'll be thinking about that, and if you'll take a moment, and even if it's a little embarrassing, well, who are you going to be embarrassed in front of? I mean, it's just me, right? So come on up to one of these two mics and share, just in a moment. It doesn't take long. Share something from your experience that you give thanks for, that you need to do publicly in the name of the Lord. And say, while you have sojourned as a part of this church family and been a part of this campus, this kind of sacred space, there's surely something that you can share that will just give us an idea of our thanksgiving that will make a great chorus unto the Lord. So I'm going to pray. We're going to sing a couple of songs after I pray, and then we're going to invite you to come. And don't let Christine or Tim get in your way. And there are microphones right here. You can adjust them if you're really tall or if you're not so tall, but they go up and down. And what I want you to do, this is very important, I want you to put that microphone right in front of your mouth, okay? I know that sounds like a unnecessary piece of business, but you'd be surprised how important it is because we have to hear you. So let me pray for us. I'd like to open in prayer, not only for God's blessing and that we would bless God, but I also want to pray, and I want you to join me in sincerity of heart as we pray for the people of Ukraine. Heavenly Father, let your compassion come upon the people of Ukraine. Father, incline your ear to their cry and to our cry. Injustice sweeps their land. Deliver them. Deliver them from fear. Deliver them from suffering. And with the psalmist, we call out to you in his words, O Lord. You, O Lord, who makes wars cease to the end of the earth, who breaks the bow and shatters the spear, who burns the chariots with fire. You, Lord, we pray, protect the innocent, defeat the evil, punish the wicked who hold you in contempt with their arrogant greed. Preserve Ukraine. Preserve and strengthen your church there. Hear their prayers. Hear their songs. Rescue them for the sake of your steadfast love, O Lord. You are their refuge and strength. You are their present help. Father, we are thankful that we can gather and recognize and praise you and pray to you, not only for ourselves, but for others. And we bring offerings of our thanksgiving and praise. We thank you for this place, this sacred space, this ground of many years where we have gathered and made memories. We dedicated it to you. We dedicate it to you. And we thank you for the work of your Spirit in our lives over the years and now in our presence and in the days to come. We praise you, Lord, in Jesus' name. And all of God's people said, Amen.
I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see the promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He
may be seated.
I'd like this side to come up here. I'd like this side to come up here. I'd like this side to beat that side. I'd like this side to beat that side. Let's go. Mark.
My name is Mark Saltzman. I'm hoping to get through this. I was just going to come to the first service this morning because I'm going to go see my son over on the coast for a week. And after being here for the first service and talked to Julie afterwards and told her I heard a couple of songs this week, and thought they'd be great for Sunday service, and lo and behold, she's got them. But I heard things this morning at the first service, and I thought, you know what? I need to stay for the second service. It's the things I heard this morning are a lot of the things that I've experienced in my life. We moved here in 1990 from Fresno. My son started junior high and high school here, and my daughter was going into college. Now I have 9 grandchildren. All know the Lord, and a lot of it is because the people here have raised my kids and my grandkids, and they all know the Lord, and that's just a great thing. The other thing that's happened is, some of you know I've been through a couple of hospitalizations over the last 10 years or so, and the support here was just phenomenal. The pastoral staff was always here. Always available, and come visit me at the hospital, come to the house, make sure everything's doing good. And special thank you to Jared, because he got the unfortunate timing of every time I went to the hospital, it seemed like Jared was on duty. So Jared and I now, at least I refer to him as my hospital buddy, I just want to thank everybody so very much. And for all the people, I lost my wife recently, and all the people that stepped forward and have contacted me and kept up with me. And sometimes it gets a little nagging, but that's okay. You can keep nagging me, and I don't have a problem with that. It's nice to have the support and the love that I get from this church. And I want to thank all my kids for staying in touch and for their lives and their dedication to the Lord and the things that they're doing. So thank you so very much. Enjoy the service, because it will be a great time of sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Hi, my name is Ruthie Nadler. I have been coming to Grace for 11 years, and I was homeschooled, so church was like my social thing. Like, that's where all my peeps were. It was great. And I'll never forget the first day that I went to junior high ministries, and Bill Hoover showed me where to go, and ever since then, I have always felt like this is my home. I went away to college, and I would still look forward so much to when I could be back and just attend on a Sunday morning or go to Satellite. And I have just always felt like I belonged here. And when I was at school, I was involved in another church, but it's just so different being somewhere where everyone knows your name and everyone's grown up with you. They've seen the cringy things you did in high school, and they still love you for it. And I really realized the importance of the people during COVID. So that happened when I was right about to graduate college, and I had to come home. And I didn't miss college. I missed meeting with you guys every Sunday morning. I missed being together. Like, watching it online, it was great, but it was just my family in my living room. So once we were finally able to come back in this room, I distinctly remember my family and I taking a selfie, because we were like, oh my gosh, we're back in church. And it was just so special. And then even when we were outside, it just brought tears to my eyes every time to hear all of us together singing, praising to the Lord. There's so much uncertainty at that time, and I feel like there's still so much uncertainty, but for us to be able to come together and just worship the Lord together has always just really blessed me. And I just want to say thank you to every person that's mentored me. There's so many people I can't even begin to list off all the people that have poured into my life. And I definitely would not be who I am today without this family of believers. So let's keep going and make our trek down to DeVis.
Thank you, Ruthie. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nikki Cardoza, used to be Nikki Allen. And I sat through the first service as well, and I told myself, just because there's an open mic, you don't have to speak. But I just found myself reflecting on, I don't have a memory in my life without this church body. I'm told, I don't remember it. Everyone talks about moving here, but I'm told this is the first place I ever came after the hospital, before I even came home, apparently. So I have just every memory here, and recently I did a walkthrough with a friend, walking through the campus when no one was here and just reminiscing, and I used to hide there. My Sunday school teachers would find me in that cabinet, and looking at the junior high room when that used to be the pastor's offices, and Pastor Leroy right next to my dad. I had a crib in his office. Seeing Evie here reminds me so much of being a PK, and just everybody knows you, and you're everywhere, and it's sweet memories. And this is my family, and this week, and in the weeks past, I've been reflecting just on this idea of family. And families change over time. People get married, people die, people leave, people come back, and that's just what I see here. And this family has been here in every season of my life, and I love too just seeing people today that I grew up with marry each other and have kids, and seeing our kids play together. It's just sweet. And just like families move, we move homes, we're just moving to a new home together, and I'm excited for that new season too.
Thank you, Nikki.
Good morning. My name is Greg Scroggins. I'm new here. Actually, we were looking for a church when we found this one. We didn't have any kids. We had been at a church where we just didn't feel like we were being fed and welcomed. And one of my coworkers said, "You should come and hang out with us at our church." And it was this church. We saw on Wednesday nights a living program for children. They had a junior high pastor. They had high school ministry that was just out of this world, and a great young marrieds class called Koinonians. And we thought, this is the place for us. And we stopped looking, and we have been here, and that was in 1988, 89 maybe. 1987. And since that time, we met over there. We met over here in a parking lot. We met in this building. When this was this building, we have shared great victories, great losses. This building was supposed to be for 5 years. Talk about manna. In the desert, talk about your shoes not wearing out. God has provided. God has provided for me a great place, a pastor I cannot thank God enough for, and his staff who follow God. I don't know if you appreciate the men and women of God who keep this place together. And I don't care if we meet in a Kmart parking lot. This is my church home, and I hope that it is your home forever as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jim Sullins. My wife, Ann, she didn't know she was coming up here until I grabbed her and pulled her up here. I moved here in 1993, and I came up here as broken. And my son came with me, which is quite fortunate because I stayed in apartments over here across the street. And he met a young boy over here, and they started going to the youth group. And so I decided that I needed to walk over here with him and get him and walk him back instead of driving over. It's all a block and a half. And I walked by, and there was this big cement block here and some walls going up and such as that. And Wayne Ingram, thank you, Wayne, was in here, and we had some pulleys up. I can't remember exactly what we were doing. Maybe it was the lights, maybe it was the speakers. And I'm standing there watching these men work. I thought, this is pretty amazing. These were working on their own facility. And Wayne said, "You going to just stand there, or are you going to pull a rope?" And so I started pulling a rope, you know. So, "Are you going to come back next time?" "Yeah, I guess I'll come back." And then he said, "What do you do?" And I told him where I worked. And he said, "Well, do you know how to use PowerPoint?" I said, "This sounds like a catch." And I said, "Yes." And I ended up working the sound booth for the next 15 years. Wayne, you remember? We had to put ladders up and put up PowerPoints, and then Paul would get up and change all of his music between services. And we'd have to go up and get the slides back out and rearrange them. And
Stay up with me.
It was really exciting, but the part of it was that I didn't know the Lord, and I didn't know what I was getting into. To me, it was a building, but over those years, Pastor Shelton beat me at racquetball, took me to Burger King, and led me to the Lord. Tim had a lot to do with that. Tim baptized me here 25 years ago or so. Baptized Ann. I met Ann. It was a wonderful blessing. And this has been the only church we've known. But it's not the building. When I look out and see everyone here, I realize it's the people. People that I've prayed for, people that have prayed for me. We've weathered some really tough times here. I remember as a congregation when we were in great turmoil. But we did not realize what God's plan was at that time until John got here. We've been waiting to go into the land for a long time, well over 20 years. And I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to share with you how blessed I feel to be part of this church family and to have these godly men, as we said, and godly women leading us. And thank you for what everybody in this congregation has done to make it possible. And you got anything to add?
No, I just love you.
So thank you, and I'm looking forward to it, and let's enter the land.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ann.
Hi, I'm Bertha Moynihan, and I've been here since 1988. But I'm here to represent the Women of the Word class. And like our name says, we are women who study God's Word. But when two or more are studying God's Word together, Jesus is there. And he has been with us in so many ways. We've laughed together, we've cried together, but most of all, we've prayed together. We have seen answers to our prayers. We've seen surviving cancer. We've seen the arrival of a long-awaited granddaughter, but she came with some health problems. Those have now been all taken care of, and she is thriving. The Lord has blessed us in so many ways. He's also blessed us in being able to support two of our missionaries, Caroline Coyle and the DeVries family, and we have helped them with the monthly payment, but we have also been able to give a love gift now and then to help them with their special problems, their special needs. So the Lord has definitely been with us. He's guiding us, and he will continue to guide us. We will stay together through Divisadero and then on to our new building. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Bertha.
My name is Jane Willis, and probably most of you know me as Teacher Jane from Cubbies. We started attending in January of '89, and wasn't familiar with the Awana program because they didn't have that program at our church, but started getting involved in it. I loved how simple the message was. It was fun, but even my 3- and 4-year-olds learn the basic scriptures of the salvation of Christ. Most of you, if you've been through Awanas, you know what Romans 3:23 and Romans 5:8 are, because we sing it every Wednesday night at church. I love seeing so many times when we'll have like True Love Waits, I'm like, I don't recognize those kids until they show their 3-year-old picture. I'm like, oh, that was my cubby. A lot of my cubbies have gotten married. They've stayed in the church. They're very involved, and now their kids are coming through cubbies, which I really love seeing that second generation. And one of my favorite memories is early on when we were still building up the leadership in the program and getting people involved, and the program was growing. And we go to Pastor Leroy. He was always so committed to supporting us. He would say, Leroy, we're short some leaders tonight. Well, the church was, the adults were still meeting in here, and he'd say, I'll be right back. And he'd come in and he'd tell you guys, we need leaders. And he'd come back with 3 or 4 leaders to help us with our Wednesday night program. So that's lots of wonderful memories, but most of my memories are with the Awana program. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Victoria Leary. I've been coming to Grace since I was a freshman in high school, starting out with the awesome Pastor Stephen Elliott and all those weird things he does at camp, and love that guy, love that guy. And now I attend Satellite on Thursday nights, and I also on Sundays attend Women of the Word, with the amazing women that I thank God every day for and whom I love and see as grandparents, because my grandma went to be with the Lord. And I love all of you. I've been through a lot in my life, and God's seen me through it, and there's always one constant in my life, my church family. I've seen kids grow up, I've made friends, I've helped VBS for the 3 and 4-year-olds, I've seen people get married, bring new life in this world, and people be with the Lord. And I love you guys so much. We are not just these 4 walls on our campus. We are the church. We are Grace Community. It's not where we meet. We can, like Greg said, we can meet in a parking lot and we would still be Grace Community Church. I love you all, and the Lord will see us through this transitional period of Divisadero. I love you guys.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
We love you too.
Okay. Hello, my name is Maddox Shore. Obviously, I'm not as old as some of the people that have come up here.
Well, we resemble that remark.
A little salty.
You were doing pretty good there for a while.
Yeah. Most of the memories I've had here are from the Awana program. I just want to give a shout out to all the leaders who have helped not just me, but everyone grow in their learning of Christ, and that they will get to understand the Lord our God better. Also, I attended Heartland one year, and they had a really good lesson that they wanted to teach us. God is our light, and He will see us through this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Jackson. My wife and I have been going to a church here for about a few months now, and before that we just been looking for a new home here in Visalia, and ever since we found this church, it's been really awesome coming here, and I want to give a special thanks to Steve Elliott for introducing us to Satellite, because being part of the group has been really great for us. Also, you guys have given us a very warm welcome being here, so it's been really awesome. So thank you.
Thank you.
Before Leroy speaks, my name is Wayne Ingram. My wife is Amanda. We came in here in 1992, and we had come in June of 92. We tried 2 or 3 churches before we got to Grace Community. Came to Grace Community, and we wanted to try for several Sundays in a row before we made a decision. So we came for one Sunday, and then we really liked the preaching. We came for the next Sunday, really liked the preaching that Sunday too. Came for the third Sunday, really good pastor, could exposit the Word of God well. And so we said, all right, this is our church. So we started attending here in August of 1992, been here ever since. Turns out that the pastor was on vacation, and Leroy has filled the pulpit 3 times in a row. And so it's because of the preaching that we came to Grace Community Church.
That's good.
So
I'd never heard that way.
So thank you, Leroy.
Good golly, I'll tell you. It's amazing what people remember. Jane Willis is probably the longest lasting cubby director in any program I've ever done. So how many of you high school kids went through Awana that are sitting out here?
Probably most of them. Yeah.
See? Not because of me, but because of the program. I told you, Tim, I wasn't going to cry. No way, you weren't going to cry. Probably, we came here in 67, and, right? 87. 67, 87. Well, the other kid that was up here said I was old, so, you know.
That was pretty impressive, but 87 is good.
87 came on staff, and it's just been fun to be part of the team. Probably other than Awana, one of the most enjoyable things my wife and I did was to do young married classes. And how many of you are here were part of that?
Yeah.
See, and it was just fun to see them cycle through. We did one, and they'd get old, we'd have to get another young married class. Then they'd get old, we'd have to get another young married class. So it was just, those are some of the really special memories. I could remember crawling up here. You were helping in here after we had all this up. But I remember when we put this building up, and we had to go up there and stuff insulation behind those white tarps that are up there. And I just got a picture in my email showing me doing that, which was really kind of cool. But I'll miss this building. Not because it's a building, but just because it was part of it. Mm-hmm. And this young lady over here has done an awesome job of replacing me as the welcoming agent of this church. She has done just a super job. And I thank the Lord for that. And I'm going to quit because I just ran out of tears. And when you're old, you just have to do stuff like that. Isn't that right, Tim? Yeah. Because you're old. Not as old as me.
Thank you, Leroy.
Good morning, church family. It's great to see so many people out there that I know that I've spent time with, but I know there's a lot of you that I haven't spent time with. My name is Brett Harvey, and I'm here as the other half of Brett and Michelle, also with my oldest son and his wife and one of my grandkids this morning. We came to Grace Community Church in 1990, And before I go any farther, I want you to know that I've been a middle school teacher now for over 30 years, and in my classroom, I found that one of the really effective things I can do is use hand gestures. So I'm going to show you one of my hand gestures. When we're learning about the Middle East and what an oasis is, I always teach them that hand gesture. And it comes to mind because this place has been an incredibly rich oasis for all of us. For my family especially, I just think of all the amazing ways that God has ministered to me, to my family, and I know to us as well. And just we have been drinking deeply at this spot on Lover's Lane. I remember we prayed our way here. We came from Southern California, came for a job, and we prayed the Lord would take us to just the right church. And here I am all these years later, and it's just been amazing to see all that the Lord has done here with us, through us, with each of us. I know we all have our stories. Some of them are like those big public wow stories, and some of them are just really, really personal stories. Didn't know that was coming. I saw my kids get dedicated to the Lord in this place. They're all walking with the Lord today. There's been so many amazing opportunities to serve here, from Fireflies to the Elder Board to serving on missions teams, and just so many opportunities just to worship right here in this funny building. You know, the big Hershey Kiss on Lover's Lane. It's just been so rich. It's been a great place to camp out for 32 years. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is Jesus standing on the water saying, Peter, get out of the boat. Do it. Step out. I got you. I know you're scared, but step out. And I feel like, we're breaking camp. We're going to move down the street. Bigger things are coming. God always leads in amazing ways. I'm excited about what he's going to do with us. And I just praise him for this place and for all those that minister to us here, and just for the incredible church family that we have. It's what a blessing we have. We are rich. We are drinking richly. Thank you,
Brett.
My husband told me not to come up because he said I was going to cry, and normally I'm a very dedicated Proverbs 31 wife, but I decided to go against his instructions and come up here. And I also wanted to go after Leroy because I knew I wouldn't cry. There's no way I would cry as much as him. So I've been going to this church for 31 years, my whole entire life. Born on a Thursday, came that Sunday. How many years have you been here, Pastor John? Not as many as me, but. So I truly do not know how people get through life without a church family. I mean, I've gone through Fireflies. Mr. Harvey, I'm sorry, you're a Firefly. And I've gone through Cubbies. I accepted the Lord as my Savior in Cubbies, and now I serve in Cubbies. So it's just like an amazing full circle moment. Went through junior high, high school. I was one of Becca's. I was in her first grow group, and obviously she loved us because she's still serving as a grow group leader. Served in Sunday school. I'm now serving in the high school department, and most of the children are great there. And I love this church. I love this building. It is just a building. It's going to be really weird to drive by every day and not be going to church here, but we're all going together, and we shouldn't be complaining because it took Moses' people like 40 years to get to the promised land, or give or take. But I'm so excited, and I would encourage you, if you're not serving, that is the number one way you can feel like a part of your church, and you're not just coming to church on Sunday. You're going to feel a part of the church family, and you're going to be serving the Lord too. So I would encourage you all to serve, and also to come to church whenever you can. Get involved in everything, but that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Cameron.
Hi, my name's Audrey Rocha. My husband Jerry's out sitting back over there. We've been here for 20 years. just after Pastor came. We left another church where our son had grown up. I've been very active, and as my husband was, in Awana. Women's Bible studies, women's ministries, childcare. My heart is children. I even had my own daycare for a brief period of time, but that didn't work out due to other commitments. I don't know who's out here that was one of my cubbies, but if you recognize me as your leader. But I did have an experience with children at our other church, and 2 of them are here, and one of them is a deacon, the Kaminsky boys. And it just, I talked to, I still can't tell them apart. I talked to one in the parking lot, and he said that my husband was the leader for the, we used to be called Pioneers. It was Pals and Pioneers. Now it's whatever it is, I don't know. But I talked to him on the thing, and he said that he was so grateful to have my husband as his leader. He said it's a little bit different than what Awana used to be, because he said we really emphasized that they had to memorize the scripture, and he just was very. He told me how grateful he was that we had ministered. I loved working with children. I've had to give it up just because of age. I've been on this planet for over 7 decades, and I love being on Facebook because that's how I see some of these kids that have grown up. And I love my Women of the Word class. We came, and when we first came and we went to the Sunday school, it was in a senior adult class, and I remember the gentleman was a lawyer. I can't remember his name, but I don't think he's here anymore. So anyway, I see people from our groups, from Bible studies. It's just been a blessing to be here.
Thank you, Audrey.
I don't know why I'm up here, but first of all, Leroy, no one believed that for a second that you weren't going to get up here and cry. I want to throw that out there. I also am not going to say how long I've been here because everyone up here had to look to their wife, so I'm just going to approximate 30 years and call it good at that. You know, I think we can all agree that Grace Community Church is more than a building, and I preface that so I don't get judged on what I'm going to say next. About whenever this was being built, you know, this was, I was here for the Awanas on Saturday, and we were doing our Awana Olympic practice run or whatever, and I was standing somewhere where Kevin Shore was, and you know, I'm not the sharpest, you know, crown in the tree, and so we're throwing dirt clods at the church building, and so I guess this is my first Grace Community Church come to Jesus moment, and so I wind up, and it's going to be the glorious dirt clod ever, and I throw it, and Mr. Pipes walks around the corner. As soon as I let it go, and he catches it in his hand and just stares at me. And I thought, oh man, I didn't think I was going to meet Jesus this quick. And then I realized I wish I had met Jesus that day. And I was just in trouble yet again. So I think that this church has done a really great job. I appreciate Awana's. I think most people are going to say the same thing. But I think that you hear lots of people talk about Grace Community Church and how it's got a great youth ministry program. Though that is very true, I also it makes me a little disappointed to some extent, because I think we have a great program here, you know, with Pastor John and our pastoral staff, though they're not perfect and mistakes are always going to ensue. That's just human nature, but I think that we have a great church as a whole, and I appreciate everything that this church has done. I appreciate, you know, Pastor John being the expositor that he is, and you know, us looking at the sufficiency of Scripture and always making that a key priority, and I'm excited about, you know, my kids maybe throwing dirt clods at the next place. But don't worry, I'll get them in trouble too. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Who's behind you, Skip? Okay, we'll stop there and with Joanne on the end there, okay? Helen.
My name is Helen Maish, and I've been here for 40 years. My daughter started here in the youth group, and we had been going to a different church, and she says, Mom, we live closer to Grace Community, why don't you go there? And I said, well, it's such a small church. And of course it grew and grew too. And then, so I came and visited. I was so welcome by so many people. It was very special, and I never left. I could just feel God in this church, and the people that have ministered to me through the years when I went through some troubles, and everyone in this church, well, not everyone, but a lot of people ministered me through that time and prayed for me. And those prayers, many of them have come true with God's healing. 2 of my children met their spouses here. That was very special. I was looking, the reason I started going here is I was looking for a church that strongly taught the Bible and somewhere my children could grow. And grow they did. There's so many things that were dear to me in this church, and mainly, of course, the people and my God. I was in choir for 35 years. This was just so special to me. I remember music camp. There's just so many places where we can go and honor the Lord and the work that He's given us to do. And I'll just close. I was in a Sunday school class one time, and I'll never forget, this one lady stood up and said, I know when people are talking about me at Grace Community that they are on their knees. And I've always hung on to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Hello, my name's Skip Nugent. I came to the first service and listened to everybody's wonderful stories, and I went home and thought, you know, I'm going to go ahead and go back and see if I can tell a little story here. I started coming to Grace in 1998. In 99, I opened a business in Hanford, so therefore wanted to move closer to Hanford to the business. I called John and asked John if he could give me a recommendation for a church in Hanford, and his response was, really? 2 hours of your day, Skip? If you like this church, keep coming here. Point taken. So for the next 12 years, I traveled back and forth to Hanford. I became an usher. I've been there ever since. 2002, I received the call that every parent's nightmare. My daughter, 2 days before her 18th birthday, was killed in a car accident. John officiated. I was also estranged from my best friend at the time, which happened to be my brother. And so John was not a one-and-done guy. I mean, I would get notes from him all the time. He'd call, we'd go to lunch, and it just, what a great feeling. So, and then in 2013, John married Misty and I together. We've been celebrated 10 years just recently. And so he checked on me thereafter again. And so probably the last great thing, well, every week's a great thing with John, but the last great thing was in beginning of 2019. I owned 3 grocery stores, and it was really getting the best of me. I was tired of just being in business in California, and it was really getting the best of me. I cared for my employees more than I cared for myself. I went to John through the recommendation of my mother and my wife, and he prayed for me and talked me through a lot of stuff. I was able to sell the business. Here I am, retired 2 years later, loving life. But my whole point in all this is every business has a leader, every school has a leader, every church has a leader. And what I like to say right now, thank you to Grace Community John Venema, and all the staff for the wonderful things they do, and I'd just like to thank all of you guys.
Thank you, Skip. Thank you.
My name is Mckenna Thompson. I don't know how long I've been at this church, but I know I met a lot of my friends here. I've met so many people over the last year that I've grown to love, and this move is going to be a challenge, but God has helped me realize that this place always felt like a home to me, but God has helped me to realize that my home is with Him, and I will go with Him wherever He needs to take me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mckenna.
Hi, I'm Tori Kutsier. I've been here all my life. I wasn't going to come up here, but then I saw Maddox come up, and I was like, oh, well, there's a kid coming up here. I guess I could come up too. I've been here all my life, and thinking about how we're moving campuses and stuff, I was kind of thinking like, oh, everyone's talking about reflecting and everything. And it made me realize that like how much the people of this church have poured into my life. Like back when I was 4 years old, like I had Mrs. Kahn as my leader in Sunday school, and then like Mr. Clevenger, Mr. Turner, all these people who were like pouring into my life. And it's not necessarily the classrooms I remember, but just having those relationships and knowing that. And then just all the different events and stuff that I've had going on here. Like right when my mom had died, the church was like all around us. And that was the first thing I had noticed at the new campus. And then, and then it was really awesome because later I got to see my new mom come. And I got to experience her wedding year. And so, wow, I didn't think I was going to cry. But it's just really awesome to see this family of believers all come together and be part of my family and really just pour into my life. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Justin Canaday, and I've been at Grace pretty much my entire life. And there's two memories that have really stuck out and stayed with me my entire life. And one of those was the junior high graduation. Mr. Lopes was giving the sermon, and when he finished, he handed out bracelets that said Imago Dei, which means image of God in Latin. And I've rarely taken it off since then. And I remember any challenge that I've faced since then, I've looked at the bracelet and it's reminded me of this church and everything that's sort of happened in my life that shaped my life. And really like got me through any challenge that I've been through in that time. And the second one, someone was giving a sermon, I can't remember exactly who, but they were talking about the church. And they gave the definition of a church, which was a group of people gathered together for a specific purpose. And they talked about how this had nothing to do with a building or a place. And this was years ago, before I think even the new campus started being built. And total foreshadowing. But it sort of stuck with me, and any time anyone's talked about the church, I've remembered that definition has nothing to do with the building, but the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Well, this is Joanne Main, and I'm bringing up the old people's section. I'm 90, and I don't know how many of you remember the 100 celebration of my mother when she was 100 years old. I've outlived the Breen class. Evelyn Barrett and I are the only two left. I want to thank the builders of this sanctuary for making such a wonderful place for us to worship. But
I'm encouraged by the young people I've seen today who are looking forward to the trek into Canaan. And God willing, I'm going to make it too.
Thank you, Joanne. Joanne, I still have the card of your mother on her 100th birthday but it wasn't in this Bible, it's in my other, I'll show it to you sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is just getting going, but we got to get going. And so we're going to stand in a moment and sing a couple of songs. Paul is going to close us with a short song after that, and then Randy Kahn is going to come and close us in prayer. We had Paul close us in prayer because Randy, Paul, and some others in this room are charter members. They've been here since the very beginning, since the conception kind of thing, when it was a twinkle in some mother's eye. And so we thought it fitting to have Paul in the first service and Randy in the second pray us out of this building. So let's stand, and Julia is going to lead us.
How I proved him all.
You know, we're at 424, but pretty soon we're going to be at 2525. Everybody, 2525. Look for it. A real quick chorus. You have been a shelter, Lord, for every generation, to every generation, a sanctuary from the storm. To every generation, to every generation, join me. You have been a shelter, Lord, to every generation, to every generation, a sanctuary from the storm. To every generation, to every generation, Lord.
Back in 1979, Pastor John Epp had a vision for a presence, a Christian presence on the east side of Visalia. Came to the young marrieds class and told several of us, "You're going." So now, all these years later, we get to follow John Venema into the Coliseum. So let's pray as we begin our journey. Our Father, we are so grateful for who you are. We have such a tradition of greatness and miracle and power as you have led your people from one place to another. We recognize that it is your presence that makes the church, that we become your body only through the head of Jesus Christ. We know that we have been a presence for you in this campus, that you have done much for this city through this campus. And we pray that we will continue to be a light for you and a presence for you in the place where we are going at Divisadero Middle School, and that we will impact that community as we have impacted this one, and as we prepare to continue our service into our final or next step destination on South Lovers Lane. We thank you for all of this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.